All right, welcome to the first episode of the Easier Said Than Done podcast. My name is Brendan Donahue. I am joined by Dave Toscano and Bob Horgan. Fellows, how we doing?
What's going on, Brendan? Doing well.
Doing great. Just, weekend's coming. Weekend is here, actually.
Facts. This syllabus week is over for me and Bob. Dave, is this your first syllabus week? Is this syllabus week over?
Well, it ended today, but yes.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I feel like syllabus week's kind of overblown because I feel like I got absolutely jammed with assignments this week. But
yeah, no, everybody's just every single professor's just jamming shit down your throat, like trying to scare you for the rest of the semester.
Syllabus week is basically the first 10 minutes of class.
Yeah, the first class they let you go early, and then other than that, next class is like, all right, we're hopping right into it.
Yeah.
All right. Before we start, just kind of a background overview of what we're doing here. I've had the blog and now A Word from Don for like a year and a half now, and I kind of just wanted to add on to it. So Bob and Dave are two guys that I know are very gifted at talking, especially about sports, and B could kind of throw some rebuttals at me with my selfish thinking and that I'm always right in some of these sports opinions. So there'll be two good guys to have on board. We're just going to kind of shoot the shit about what's going on in the sports world. Me and Dave are big soccer guys. Bob's there. He's trailing us a little bit, but we'll
I got one rule in the soccer though. Two rules: goals and cards. As long as there's goals and as long as there's some cards, I'm in.
Free entertainment. And then the other thing that we want to add is some gambling. Gambling's, huge in the college world, but it's also, growing big time, and it's just a matter of time before it's legal in Mass. It's legal here in New Hampshire right now, or sports gambling, we should say. But we're getting there. All right, let's hop right into it. So first topic, Super Bowl. We got Brady versus Mahomes in Tampa on Sunday. Brady is in his 10th Super Bowl, looking for his 7th ring. Mahomes looking to go back-to-back. Bob, what do you like so far?
This is going to be probably one of the better games I think we'll see, maybe in our lifetime. I think it's kind of got all the hype. Basically, it's your Jordan Kobe game or Jordan LeBron if it ever happened. I think it's going to be a shootout. I just think at the end of the day, you rely on the Super Bowl, what you're best at, and I just think both teams can score 100 if they need to. I think it's a shootout, and, I want Brady to win. Obviously, Tom, New England guy, want him to win, want to see him succeed, but I just think that at the end of the day, Kansas City they're on a different level than everybody else when it comes down to it.
Yeah, I agree. I'll play the devil's advocate a little bit. I'd say a lot of people are going to think this game is going to be a shootout, but sometimes when there's two high-powered offenses, they tend to underwhelm. So especially with the over-under line at 56, that's the third highest ever for a Super Bowl. If you're going to gamble, I would go under. That's my opinion. But I would still go Chiefs money line to win. Can't be the Chiefs.
So like you said, the over is at 56.5. Chiefs are 3.5 point favorites. I think, it's become the smart football guy discussion point so far, but I think really what it's going to come down to is Tampa Bay's D-line against a banged-up Kansas City O-line. Kansas City's missing their left tackle. He was ruled. Eric Fisher was ruled out today. Mitchell Schwartz is still questionable at right tackle. To have two backup tackles or two backup guards and having your guards move to tackle in the biggest game of the year is going to be a huge disadvantage going against a supreme pass rush that Tampa Bay has. Quarterback wise, this goes without saying. This is arguably the best quarterback matchup that there's ever been in a Super Bowl. I wrote about this last week. This is a huge Super Bowl for both of them. If Brady gets one away from New England, he has completely blown away the whole system quarterback can only win in New England kind of thing. If Mahomes wins, then he has an advantage on Brady going forward for that possible GOAT title going forward. So, really this game is there's a huge outside meaning of just winning the Super Bowl. There's that extra value in a win for both of these guys.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think the one thing I'll kind of go with though on the whole Brady front, which it sucks because if he does lose, it's going to make him kind of look worse. I think when it's all said and done, I think Mahomes has the capability to win, 10, 11 Super Bowls, something we've never seen because he's just so good and their team is so good. But the one thing that will suck for, kind of as a Pats fan, as a Brady fan, is that he is doing this at 43. And even though we have seen that he's still one of the top, whatever you want to say, top 6, top 8 quarterbacks. The dude is 43, and he is going against Patrick Mahomes, who hasn't even hit his prime yet, and he's already the guy. So it should be interesting. Should be definitely an interesting game. One thing, too, you had with, the tackles out, I think kind of a rebuttal with that. You see Kansas City kind of get the ball out quick. I think you've seen time and time again that fourth down play where Tyreek Hill's getting the ball on the out, and just it's a conversion every time. Not saying that will happen all the time, but I think they'll kind of get Mahomes out of the pocket. They got Kelsey, they got Tyreek Hill who can get open quickly. Short passes, short routes, run the ball. Kind of.
I think a guy to keep an eye on for the Kansas City offense is McCole Hardman. Tampa Bay's had 2 weeks to try and take away both, to figure out a plan of how they can maybe not take away but limit Kelsey and Hill. And Demarcus Robinson right now is questionable. He's on the COVID list. Hardman is arguably your best offensive weapon outside of those guys. You don't know how much you're going to get out of Edwards-Helaire. You don't know how healthy he is after he suffered that injury at the end of the year. Le'Veon's been kind of non-existent. Darrell Williams has kind of, stepped to the forefront and, been a pretty good running back. He played really well against Cleveland, kind of took a backseat role once Edwards-Helaire came back in the conference championship. The only thing, I don't know if this is you guys, when I watch McCole Hardman play, I don't know whether it's just he returns punts or he's just really, lanky. I get nervous every single time he touches the ball that he's going to fumble.
Yep.
Like he might only have like 2 fumbles this year, but I feel like every other game that I watch, he's got a close one where he fumbles it out of bounds or he loses a fumble or he muffs a punt, something like that. But if they can get him in open space and they can use the speed of the 5 Olympic sprinters that the Chiefs call wide receivers, they got a good chance here. As for Tampa Bay, Tom just got to do what Tom does in Super Bowls. He's been here, like I said, this is his 10th Super Bowl. Ridiculous, but this is the first time that a lot of these guys have been in the Super Bowl. First Super Bowl for Mike Evans, first Super Bowl for Chris Godwin, first Super Bowl for Leonard Fournette, Scotty Miller. The list goes on. One guy that I think might go under the radar and everyone's been waiting for his breakout game is Gronk. And Gronk's been known to be a big game player. And, is this a game where, he goes from his 2 catches and 30 yards to maybe putting up a 5 and 90 with 2 touchdowns line? Remains to be seen. I'm not sure that that's going to happen. He doesn't look like the same tight end that he was in New England. But you have to wonder if that big game is coming.
He's Tom's guy, and you trust your guys in the big games. So I really do think Gronk is going to get at least those 2 catches, or at least that's what I have in my parlay. But I definitely would not be surprised if he ends up having a little bit more of an impact than we have seen in the past.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's getting the ball into Gronk and AB's hands a lot in that first drive to kind of get the mood settled. Because, he obviously, like you said, Gronk is his guy, but it's also not too tough to see that he loves AB.
Yep.
He's vouched for him time and time again. And he's obviously comfortable throwing the ball to him. So this might be, that first drive might be a heavy dosage of Antonio Brown and Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah, going kind of off of that, I was going to bring up the Gronk point and the AB point. I think you kind of see Tom goes to Gronk a lot in the red zone. I think it was the Detroit game I remember watching. It was like a Saturday. I think Gronk got like 2 pass interference calls in the end zone. Like they throw to him down there. Brady's trust him. Brady also does trust AB, I think, a ton. And I think, obviously Brady trusts Godwin and Evans, but you have seen a lot of easy drops from those 2. They are the guys on that team, but at the end of the day, like Mike Evans, you can't drop a big ball. Chris Godwin, you've had probably 10 drops this postseason. Like the big game now, it's time to put the big boy pants on and kind of go to work.
And if this was any other quarterback, I would think, maybe the 3 interceptions in the second half might be lingering in the back of Brady's head. And, it might affect his decision-making kind of like subconsciously, thinking about, the shots that he's taken down the field. And, one of them it was a high throw, but, Mike Evans tips that right into, I'm not sure who it was on Green Bay, but right into his hands on that third pick. I don't think that's going to have much of an impact on this game. Brady's Brady. He doesn't really care about, if he throws 3 picks, if he throws 5 picks, if he throws no picks. But I think, this is going to be, this is going to be power versus power. This is going to be A1 versus A1. Like, this is the matchup that we've probably seen in the last 15 to 20 years, as long as I can remember, at least. This is the 2 biggest name quarterbacks going up against each other that I can remember.
I mean, kind of my thoughts on the last good NFL game. I mean, obviously there's a ton of good NFL games, but I mean, as a Pats fan, the last great game I kind of saw was that Pats KC game in the AFC Championship where Mahomes was in his first year, young, but still we were killing them. And then they came back, the big offsides on D Ford, and then we go down in OT and score. Sony Michel's only one productive year, by the way, but that's a different topic.
He won me so much money on that game. I think I had him. I had the Pats spread, I had his rushing yards, and I had the over. And going into halftime, I'm pretty sure it was like 14-3, 14-6, or something like that. And then it went into overtime, and Sony's yards cashed on the overtime drive, or on the last drive of the fourth quarter. The over hit in the last drive of the fourth quarter, and then the Pats spread hit on the. Actually, I think they were underdogs. I might have had Pats money line. But I mean, that's a story for another day. Staying on the NFL topic, big trade, probably the biggest trade in the NFL in the last couple of years, to be honest with you. Last Saturday, Detroit Lions send Matthew Stafford to the Los Angeles Rams for Jared Goff, 2 firsts and a third. Rams coming off of a year that looked like if Goff doesn't get hurt, they could make some noise in the NFC. I know Bob is a little partial on this one. We'll get into that in a second. But, does this help the Rams that vastly long term?
No. I think this kills them long term. I just think that I'll kind of go into my take right now. I think I've done, as you kind of brought it up, I think Jared Goff is a good quarterback. I've had this discussion a ton of times, and at like 23, 24, he led the Rams to the Super Bowl, which I think people kind of forget about that. And I know their Super Bowl performance was not good. He did not play good. And I know they got in on kind of a bullshit pass interference no call. But Jared Goff went through that NFC with Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Breeze at like 23 and got them there. And I just kind of think that shows what he has the capability to be. And that was a good season for him. I don't think Matthew Stafford makes you a contender. I don't see it. I mean, the dude can get the ball around. I know he can. He can zip it. And I know Detroit sucks. And, the pieces are there in LA. I just don't think Matthew Stafford puts you over the hump.
When we talk about the football guys take, I feel like the football guys take for so long now has been Matthew Stafford would be a top 5 NFL quarterback if he was on a team that wasn't Detroit. And now he's got a chance to back that up. But at what price? Jared Goff is a quarterback that will keep you in games. If you give him a supporting cast and you give him a defense, you have probably a playoff team. At the least, you have probably a 9-7 team. I see this as a really, really big win for Detroit long term. You're picking up 2 picks. You are picking up a large contract in Goff. I think he's got 4 more years with max money on it. You don't know how this affects Galladay's thoughts of staying long term, but as that being said, my hot take is that I don't see it in Kenny Galladay, to be completely honest with you. He's a good wide receiver, but he hasn't been able to stay on the field, and B, hasn't produced in the way that he's being referred to. But for the Rams, this brings your window from about a 6-7 year window to go win a title to about a 2-year, 3-year window to now win a title. Stafford's on the books for 2 more years at a pretty affordable number. I will say that. I'm not 100% sure of what the Rams cap number is going forward and what space they have to go sign free agents this offseason.
Probably
And
not.
getting Goff, what was that?
Probably not a lot, seeing as they got Jalen Ramsey, Donald on the books for a lot. Stafford's got some money to him. So.
Yeah, I mean, it might be able to free up a little bit. I don't know if Goff being the guy that they signed didn't affect the cap at all, or the guy that they drafted didn't affect the cap at all. But Dave, I mean, that draft pick haul is ridiculous.
Yeah, I was going to say, regardless of whether you think Goff or Stafford will give the Rams a better chance to win now, I think it's pretty clear that the front office wants to win right now, because look at these picks. In 2014, 2015, 2016, they got Donald, Gurley, and Goff. And since then, they've had no first-round picks, and they don't have another one until 2024. So they better win now, or else all that's for nothing.
Yeah, this upcoming draft, they have a 2nd, a 6th, and a 7th, which will probably turn into a 3rd, a 4th, and a 5th or something like that. I don't see them, taking a 2nd, 6th, and 7th and, saying how much this will help them going forward. But, I mean, honestly, when's the last time that you can remember a player-for-player swap like this in the NFL? It happens a lot in the NBA. You see the Russell Westbrook and John Wall trade. You see in baseball, guys are getting flipped for prospects. It's not often that you see an NFL quarterback, yet let alone a player, be flipped for another guy like for like.
Yeah.
So moving on to the soccer portion of the show. Transfer window ended on Monday this week. Not a lot of permanent transfers, a lot of loan moves. That probably leads to COVID restricting fans and the financials that are going on within Europe. A busy window for Americans, a busy window for a couple specific Premier League teams. Liverpool kind of cleans up the back line catastrophe that's been created by the injuries to Joel Matip, Virgil van Dijk, the list goes on. Arsenal, a lot of moving in and out of Arsenal. Mesut Ozil finally gets a move out of Arsenal. They bring Martin Odegaard in. Dave, what's your favorite move of the transfer window?
I really like what West Ham did. They brought in Jesse Lingard. He's an attacking player, and West Ham is overperforming for sure. Last couple of years, a lot of people have had them getting relegated, actually. And they're just doing really well this year. They're in 5th place. They're 2 points back of Liverpool from the top 4. So I think, honestly, this was a power move. They're there. And now that they're there, they have to take that opportunity and maybe go for top 4. And I don't think Europa League is a disappointment at this point. You've gotten this far and you've exceeded your expectations. So I really like that move. And you're talking about the Americans, big window for the Americans. If you're a U.S. soccer fan, you've got to be excited right now because you've got the guys who are already established, like Pulisic at Chelsea and McKennie at Juventus, Adams at Red Bull, Reina at Dortmund. The list goes on. I mean, there's so many quality players that we're sending to Europe. I got a couple here that happens recently. Chris Richards, who was with Bayern Munich, center back. A lot of people think he'll be the center back, one of the center backs for the future. He is moving to Hoffenheim on a loan deal, I believe. That'll be big for him because he needs minutes. He's gotten a couple believe one start. I'm not quite sure, but really not a lot of minutes, only off the bench at this point. But that'll be huge for him. Hopefully he'll live up to his potential there. Brian Reynolds, FC Dallas to Roma. The transfer saga was incredible with this guy. He was going to Juventus, then Roma, and then Juventus. It was actually ridiculous.
Club Brugge was in there at one point.
Yeah, and it came out of nowhere too because personally I had never heard of Brian Reynolds until this year, and then all of a sudden he's going for 10 million to some of the biggest clubs in the world, and that's great. And the only problem is we have a million right backs. But
I'm not sure. Did you see the video of him getting off the plane in Rome?
No.
He went from a stadium in Dallas where they can't get like 15,000 people in there to getting off the plane in Rome and probably having 20 to 30 cameras and phones in his face taking pictures and stuff. It was, talk about going from night to day, complete switch up.
Yeah, for sure. And then the other switch ups, the pair from the Union in Philadelphia, Brendan Aronson, Mark McKenzie, both going abroad after really good season in MLS. They won the Supporters Shield, but they weren't good enough to beat the best team in the league, the New England Revolution. For all you out there who don't know, get on the train next year, MLS Cup, lock it in, put your bet down. But Brendan Aronson at Red Bull Salzburg and McKenzie at Genk in Belgium. Again, they're going to get minutes and they're going to progress in their careers. Great for the national team.
Yeah, no, my favorite moves from an American standpoint. First one is the first one that you said, Chris Richards to Hoffenheim. Like you said, he's gotten minutes here and there for the Bayern first team, but he hasn't really played much of his natural position, which is center back. They played him a little bit at left back. They played him a little bit at right back. He had an assist to Robert Lewandowski, but he's being thrown right into a situation. Hoffenheim's been pretty unsteady the last couple of months. There's a position for him to take there at starting center back. If he won't grab it right away, but that's a position that within a month or so I can see him grabbing. I've said it. I've been on record saying I think Chris Richards is the best defensive prospect that the U.S. has ever had. I watched a lot of the U20 World Cup a couple of years ago. They beat France in the quarterfinals. They almost made it all the way to the finals. Chris Richards was an absolute beast. He was locking down guys that are household names now. And you can see why Bayern regards him so highly. He's big, he's strong, he's tough, he's fast, he's good on the ball, he can distribute well. Another one that kind of came out of nowhere on deadline day that you didn't touch on was Daryl Dike. He's going out on loan to Barnsley in the English Championship. Dike is a guy that was drafted out of the University of Virginia last year to Orlando, had a really successful rookie season. He's a dual national. He's able to represent the USA and Nigeria. But it seems right now that he's locked in with the U.S. He's been called up twice now. He got minutes in their most recent friendly against Trinidad and Tobago. Barnsley is in 12th right now in the championship. Probably won't be going up this season. But ESPN has already reported that even prior to his loan move to Barnsley, they've got Premier League clubs already looking at him. Premier League clubs that are interested in taking him in full time. I know the permanent sell-on clause for Barnsley to take him in is 20 million, which I don't think that club has altogether if they sold everybody on the team. So it doesn't look like that's going to happen. But yeah, and then the other one is Paul Areola and Jordan Morris going to Swansea. Those are two, big name MLS guys, kind of role players on the United States team. Morris has long time been knocked as not being able to take his chances and going to play in Europe. He had a chance to go play for Werder Bremen in Germany, I think 3 or 4 years ago. And a lot of people have speculated that he didn't want to go there because he just got a dog and didn't want to make the move hard on his dog, which has kind of been turned into a meme within the U.S. men's national team circles.
It's a man's best friend.
What?
It's a man's best friend.
Yeah, well, so is that bag. Yeah, no, Morris seemed to be really highly regarded by the Swansea fans that I've seen on Twitter. They've been really, really positive on his signing, which is kind of night and day considering if you saw a European team bring in an American probably 3-4 years ago. Actually, you could probably say that last year. If a European team is bringing in an American, the first thought that goes into their head is they're there to sell shirts or they won't play at all. This new wave of Americans has kind of changed that narrative a little bit, and it's really exciting to see.
Yeah, young players. Oh, sorry, Bob, you got something?
Dave, you go.
Young players from MLS to Europe. I don't want to hear any more of you retirement league people. Go home. Never say it again. It's not true anymore.
Being a non-soccer guy, what is our timeline looking like? Are we a 2022 contender, or are we just going to kind of be there and just kind of mess around and then when the...
I think we're at the point where we're 2022 dark horses, 2026 contenders.
And we're in United States or in like America.
Yeah. So the 2026 is U.S., Mexico, Canada, with most of the games being in U.S. I think 90% of the games are in the United States, including the last 4 rounds. I personally think 2022 they can make a run all the way to the semis. They can be like a Croatia that was in that last World Cup. Croatia was really young last tournament. I don't think a lot of people thought that they had the legs that they did. With the right draw, with the right opponents, I think these guys can take on anybody. But I'm also a little bit of a homer. I'm also a little bit naive. I think these guys could probably be world beaters tomorrow, and that's just not the case. Dave's probably a little bit more of a realist than I am.
Yeah, I would say that's a bit optimistic right off the bat, but 2026, different story. I think semifinals at home is 100% doable with the talent we have right now. I really do think we can make some noise at home. And I'm telling you, we will win a World Cup by the time we are 50.
Is that a guarantee? Is that a guarantee?
I'm guaranteeing it. You can clip this and show it to me, and I can't do the math that quick.
30 years. 29.
29, yeah.
9 years.
Kind of easy math. I just didn't do it.
All right, so before we move on to the next part, Dave got into a little bit of an accident today. Banged up his nose a little bit skiing. We were talking about before we started recording that I was going to tell this story I was going to tell a story during the podcast. Dave, why don't you tell us what happened today?
So we were ripping the park, and I had this really sweet sweatshirt that I bought at Marshall's for $15 yesterday. It was like red, yellow, blue, green. Those don't sound like they would all go together.
Like a rainbow?
Yeah, but they did. Well, I guess they did go together, and they were cool. And it said, like, on the side, it said something about vibes or something. Vibes are going to save the world. I don't know. It's stupid, but it was $15, and someone complimented me on it. But I was feeling way too confident at the end of the day, and I went for listen to this. I went for a 360. Yeah, I know. It's big time. 360 off the jump, and I airmailed it. And I kind of went like Superman mode, but I landed on my face. And
are you skiing or are you snowboarding?
Snowboarding.
Okay.
Yeah, I landed straight on my face and just started bleeding everywhere. But no one really seemed concerned. I went down to the bottom of the hill, like gushing blood down my face, and like nobody even asked if I was okay. It was all right though. I just went.
All right, so the story of the first time I ever saw Dave fuck up his face horrifically. We were playing middle school baseball at Westboro Middle School, and Dave's playing left field, and there's a fly ball out to like right in between probably the third baseman and the left fielder, so Dave's got a better beat on it. He's got the ground for it. He gets there, goes to make the sliding catch, puts his glove up. And I don't know whether you looked away or if you were looking at somebody, and the ball missed his glove and hit him square in the nose, starts gushing blood. So we're all like, oh, Dave, dude, that sucks. Goes to the hospital the next day. We had a soccer game the next day. When I tell you this kid's nose was like the size of like a grapefruit. Like the knob of his nose was like touching his cheeks. I told him he looked like a catfish.
Yeah, I would say it was the combination of the sun, the clouds, and the wind.
And you're bad?
That also. Yeah, you got it.
All right. Now that story time's over. Heading towards the finish line here. We talked about the Super Bowl. Bob, give me some prop bets that you're looking at.
All right. Well, We were talking about taking one, but you know what? I got four that I like. Three of them are pretty, even odds, plus 100, minus 100, or however you want to say it. Either way. One I love, I think this is a pretty common one, Travis Kelce to score. Um, he's not better than Gronk at their peaks, but Travis Kelce's a pretty good goddamn tight end.
I think he's probably the best pass catching tight end ever, maybe. I see.
Maybe.
Here's my hot take. I think Aaron Hernandez is better than Gronk long term if he doesn't kill people.
Well, that's a different conversation.
Touchy subject.
Yeah, but Travis Kelce's a freak. He's going to have his 10, take the over on his catches, probably yards too. He's going to do whatever he wants to do on the field. He does it every game. Another one I have, kind of going off of what we were talking about earlier, AB over 3.5 catches. I don't even know the stats behind it, the history, but I just know Brady likes AB. AB gets open. At best, I don't know what Kansas City's going to treat AB as, but he's the third receiver and they get their third corner on him, or you've got, they're in a zone, and I just think that AB gets open. He's one of those guys. Penalty yards, I got under 99.5. That's a take I like. I look kind of at the last couple of games. Even though Tampa Bay, they play pretty aggressive on the outsides, the cornerbacks are kind of bigger physical guys. They don't get too many pass interferences called on them, even though we could argue a couple in that Green Bay game.
And I think that's one that you're going to be able to – you're going to find out in the first 5 minutes whether it's going to hit or not.
Yeah.
Because you could tell in that Green Bay game that they played against them that they weren't going to call anything. And the first penalty came like halfway through the second quarter, I think. So, like, again, it depends on who's officiating, but, you're going to be able to tell, whether they're going to let the boys play or whether they're going to be assholes.
The one big thing with the penalty prop is it literally takes one. We said we'll figure it out, but there could be no penalties, and then there could be an 80-yard pass interference, and it gets blown out of the water. And then my final prop that I like for the Super Bowl, big money potential, plus 330, a punt to be downed inside the 5-yard line.
Any reasonings? You just got kind of a gut feeling.
Sark took it. I just kind of think that, I don't know.
See, that's the thing, though. Like, it's like when you have justification for it, half the time it doesn't hit. When it's a gut one, like, I feel like it hits at a better rate than that.
Smart. I liked it. I know the Pats Super Bowl a couple of years ago, there was like 3 punts inside the 5 or something I was reading. I just think that, these are two teams who the defenses are good enough to make a stand, at the 45-yard line. And then it's, all right, well, we're not going to go for it on 4th and 6. We're not going to kick a 62-yard field goal. Let's pin them in. And I think we get a chance on that one. So those are my prop takes.
Dave?
Yeah. All right. This will be fun. So I already said, I know life is too short to take the under, but you have to take the under. That's me. That's my take. Anyways, moving on. Put the mortgage on heads on the coin flip. That is always a lock.
No.
Maybe last year was tails. I don't remember, but I won, whatever it was. I got a good parlay here. We mentioned it. Kelce, anytime touchdown scorer. Fournette, anytime touchdown scorer. And we go back to Gronk. Gronk, 2 or more catches. That comes out to about like plus 350, something like that. I think that's pretty good. I'll be taking that.
Before we get into anything else, what do we think of the national anthem? Do we think it's going over? Do we think it's going under? The thing that I have yet to see that I think is going to make the biggest difference is it going to be pre-recorded or are they going to do it live?
Well, who's singing?
It's
Lovato, I think, right?
No, it's like Jasmine Sullivan or something and Eric Church.
Eric people?
Yeah, so it's 2 people, which is a kind of a they're throwing us through a loop there to begin with. And they said, what's her name? Jasmine Sullivan?
Jasmine Sullivan and Eric Church. I'm not where I got Demi Lovato.
So, well, she sang it a couple of years ago.
All right.
But Jasmine Sullivan has sang the national anthem at sporting events twice, and it's gone under. But the thing is that there's a duet. And the other thing is I don't know if it's going to be live. The AFC or was it AFC or NFC championship? One of their national anthems was pre-recorded. When you're pre-recorded and there's nobody there, like to judge you, you're gonna draw that shit out. You're gonna elongate it big time.
Mm-hmm.
So that remains to be seen. Once I get
What's
an
the
answer
line?
either way,
What's the time?
I think it's 1:56, a minute 56.
Gosh.
over?
Yeah,
I like the over too.
I'm going
Under
over.
sitting at minus 150 right now.
Over. I actually love the fact that we're going into such depth about this. We'll go more into depth because I don't personally, I've never heard of her, but when you're on such a big stage, I think maybe you do a little bit more show, like more for show, you know?
Yeah, no, we
And
got to
this-
think about her psyche though. Like, is she someone who grasps the moment, or is she someone that's like going to be intimidated by the stage? Because if she's intimidated, then we're talking like, well, is she just going to try and get in, get out, or is she just kind of try and like introduce herself to the world here?
Well, they're both doing it. I mean, there's two of them. They both have to make their moment.
That's true too.
How many times are you gonna get to sing the national anthem for the Super Bowl in your life? One time.
Yeah.
And
All right, so we're smashing the over.
two of you are splitting this role.
We're smashing the over.
One more thing. I'm expecting a break. One of those long ones.
Yes.
That's a lot.
Except like 5 of them.
Yeah, at least 5 fluctuations.
All right, my prop is if you are in New Hampshire and you are on DraftKings, you'll see this one. It's been up all week. I love it. I don't love it necessarily because I'm convinced it's going to hit. I love it because these odds are way too low. Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Chris Godwin, and Mike Evans all to record over 55 receiving yards is plus 400. If you see Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce put up 1.5 million yards combined last week.
Guarantee.
Those two might hit in the first quarter. The only one that I'm concerned about is Mike Evans.
Mike Evans will fuck you, and he'll fuck you over again, too.
Mike Evans is entirely possible that you come out of this game and he has 4 catches for 30 yards and 2 touchdowns.
I have a feeling that Bob has been done wrong by Mike Evans in the past.
Mike Evans has once fucked me. I got a problem with Mike Evans. This is the thing. Mike Evans is a really good receiver. Top whatever. But just the output isn't always there.
See, I almost think it's because of Brady this year, though. Because Jameis was putting up numbers last year.
But not Mike, fantasy-wise, we can talk about this on a different pod. I got some fantasy football words I have to use, and people who play with me know. There are like 4 or 5 guys every year I will never draft. Number 1 on that list, Mike Evans. That dude, I don't know. Again, 101 outside, like 6'5", 220. Good luck. But then there'll be the balls where you're like, dude, you're 6'5", 220, and you're a top 10 receiver. Catch the freaking football.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not certain that it's going to hit. But for those odds plus 400, and it seems like half of that's a lock already, I'm going to be throwing a little bit of coin towards that way. Parlay of the week. Oh yeah, go ahead, Bob.
Looking up Mike Evans, these 2 playoff games. Game 1, he had 1 catch. They've been in 3 games. My bad. Game 1 against the Skins, he had 6 for 119. Game 2 against the Saints, who he notoriously gets eaten alive by the Saints. Who is it? Is it Marshawn Lattimore, right?
Yeah.
Guy notoriously eats Mike Evans alive. He had 1 catch for 3 yards on a touch. And against the Packers, he had 3 for 51.
So, I mean, 1 that he wasn't close, 1 that he was flirting with, 1 that he killed. So,
yeah.
I mean, I'm like I said, plus 400 for those guys. I'm going to take it.
But just if you lose it on Mike Evans.
Yeah.
Mike Evans.
I'll come back here and I'll say that you're right, and I'll say that I was wrong, or not that I was wrong, but that you were right.
Watch Mike Evans have 180 and 2
and then Tyreek goes for 2 and 20. All right, parlay of the week, Bob. You want to start?
Yeah. So I'll be honest. I really the lines for this weekend's game for tomorrow's games haven't really came out, so I kind of just looked to Sunday. And I went NBA. I went 3 money lines. They're not out yet, but I think 2 of them will be a favorite and 1 will probably be an underdog. I'm taking the C's against Phoenix. Jaylen Brown is out tonight against the Clippers, so I got the Celtics losing, but then I got him coming back Sunday, us getting on a groove again and beating the Suns. I then have the Clippers. I forget exactly who they're playing, but I have the Clippers. Let me just figure that out. The Kings. I'll take the Clippers against the Kings. I think the Kings suck. We Celtics blew a bad with them the other night. And then I got the Pacers at home beating the Jazz and ending the winning streak. So Celtics, Clippers, Pacers, all straight up Sunday before the Super Bowl. So if you're trying to make a little coin, so you have some money to bet Sunday night, that's the parlay of the weekend.
All right, Dave, what do you got?
I think honestly, I want to go with what I said before. I know I'll bring another one to the table, but Fournette, Kelsey, and Gronk, I think you should lock it in. But the other two picks I had, you could parlay them together, I guess. UMass, I believe it's tomorrow to cover at URI men's basketball. I don't know.
It seems a little biased of a pick.
James Carroll thinks URI is way too good, and they're not, and UMass is better, and UMass is going to cover, end of story. Fulham against West Ham. I know I talked a big game again about West Ham earlier, but Fulham, somehow loves to draw, good teams. So I just have a feeling I have no reason to believe this, but what Fulham's going to tie West Ham. It's probably going to be 1-1. And then a crazy one for you, which is totally not going to happen, but it's fun just to say. Butker, Super Bowl MVP, plus 20,000. So put $5.
Hey, if it's a 12-9 game,
yep. I mean,
it's not unthinkable. All right, I'm gonna go into my parlay of the week. First leg of it is gonna be Real Madrid. They're minus 200 against Huesca, who's in last place. Kind of seems like generous numbers. Second leg is going to be Borussia Dortmund. They're playing Freiburg. Freiburg is a team that will always give the top clubs in the Bundesliga a game. But Dortmund's been in a little bit of a slump lately. I'm looking for them to kind of break out of that slump. And then my last leg of that is going to be Pitt to cover against Virginia. I think Pitt matches Virginia's pace of play pretty well. Virginia plays at the slowest pace in the NCAA.
History.
Yeah. And Champagny, I think his name is. Justin Champagny for Pitt is an absolute bucket. I've been waiting for them to kind of have a – go ahead.
It might just be champagne. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. I thought it was Champag and then N-E-Y at the end. So I don't know.
If it's an N-E-Y or N-I-E, it could be Pagny.
I don't know. I've seen him, his stats and stuff, and NBA projections have him getting picked here. I have never watched him play a game, but I know he does put up.
He's a bucket, dude. Yeah, it's Champ, A-G-N-I-E.
I knew it.
And then my favorite pick of the week is another soccer pick. If you follow the Prem this year, if you followed the Prem last week, you'll see that the worst loss in Premier League history. You have Manchester United beat Southampton 9-0. So, give me a sec. Okay. Welcome to college. Man United beat Southampton 9-0. Southampton was down a man for the entire game. There was 2 own goals in the game. I like Southampton's getting plus 155 against Newcastle. Newcastle's been really, really hard pressed to score goals. I like Southampton to bounce back there, especially with the plus 150 numbers. And that is my favorite pick of the week. Bob, you got one left, or you got all yours out?
Yeah, I got one pick left. Actually, I got 2 picks left if you want. I kind of just
do it.
With bullshit. I'm a Boston College fan. The basketball season's been terrible. They just had a COVID outbreak. Give me NC State minus 3.5 at BC on Saturday. Again, I love BC. I never want to go against them, but they're past the point of no return with me. And then my upset pick of the week. Oklahoma State at home against Texas. Texas has COVID problems. Oklahoma State has Cade Cunningham. Oklahoma State is coming off a loss. Texas also is, but give me the Cowboys at home.
All right. Well, I mean, Texas has got Shaka back. They got most of their guys back. They're missing one or two guys, but they got most of the main pieces left. But I just have a tough time. I think this is the best Texas team that we've seen since Kevin Durant. But Oklahoma State, Cade Cunningham, when you have him, anything is possible. I'll be interested to see what that line opens up at. All right, let's wrap it up here. Dave, give us a thing to ponder, and we'll close things out.
Okay, so what I like to do is think about things, and hopefully any of these things that I ponder will not make you question my intelligence. Anyways, here you go. This is your thing to ponder for the week. How come a microphone makes your voice louder, a megaphone makes your voice louder, but a phone does not? Ponder that.
Things to think about. All right, first podcast in the books. Boys, we'll talk next week. Let's get after it this weekend.
Cheers.
All right,
Cheers.
later.